It's the beginning of a new year. Good evening, welcome. This is Ghana Tonight, the first edition of Ghana Tonight for the year 2026. How time flies. Welcome. As always, we're live from our news hub at Desawe, and also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. A happy new year to you. From the team here on Ghana Tonight to you, our viewers, stay with us all through the year 2025 and the year 2026. What we're giving to you on Ghana Tonight begins right now. I am Alfred Okanse. Welcome. Tonight, President John Dramani Mahama expresses optimism that 2026 will bring prosperity, peace, and national progress. We hear the specific issues that he put out there in the New Year message earlier today. Also, on the show tonight, we put the spotlight on the performance of the economy in 2025 and how it has impacted your personal economy on the back of what the president has been talking about as the solid foundation, it says, that has been laid for a major takeoff of the economy in terms of growth in the year 2026. Also, we assess the government fight against illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, and what more can be done this year. Stay with us. We have more of this, plus other issues on the burner tonight. It's always you're an integral part of the conversation. You have yours and your word, as always, on the issues that we talk about. You have a say in what we say on Ghana Tonight, on Facebook and on X. Let's get the conversation going. It's the 1st of January, 2026. That's it all for Ghana Briefs.
President John Dramani Mahama has extended warm New Year greetings to Ghanaians, expressing hope that 2026 will usher in prosperity, peace, and national progress. In his message marking the start of the year, the president encouraged citizens to embrace unity, optimism, and a shared commitment to advancing the nation in the months ahead.
We are one people with a shared destiny. Whether you voted for me or not, whether you supported the NDC or not, we are all Ghanaians. And this reset is for all of us. There's no NPP Ghana, there's no CPP Ghana, or NDC Ghana. There's only one Ghana. That Ghana our forebears fought for and shed their blood to give us our freedom. Let us reject the politics of division and embrace the patriotism of nation building. Let us disagree without being disagreeable. Let us compete in the marketplace of ideas without treating our opponents as our enemies. The challenges that we face are too urgent, and the opportunities before us are too precious for us to waste our time and energy in needless conflict. I see a Ghana where every child, regardless of their background, can dream and achieve those dreams. I see a Ghana where hard work is rewarded.
Legal practitioner Martin Kpebu has dismissed the H. Kwesi Prempeh Constitution Committee's proposal to extend presidential terms from 4 to 5 years, calling it laughable. He insists that any president who cannot form a government within 1 month is simply not ready to govern.
The extension of the 4-year mandate to a 5 is very laughable. Let's have due regard to our history. We voted twice on that matter of extending the 4-year term to a 5-year term, and on each occasion, the 5-year term was roundly defeated. It looks to me a bit unserious for the H.K. Prempeh Committee to bring back a 5-year. Don't do that. No, you look at the numbers. I say it looks a bit unserious because H.K. Prempeh's committee did not deal with the generality of the populace as the Fiajo Commission did. Fiajo's commission, you could vote, right? You could vote, there was an MTN number, then you vote, so questions will come, we vote, and we were very clear, so it was open to the whole nation.
The Trades Union Congress TUC and the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission PRC have urged calm amid public concerns over recent electricity tariff adjustments which have taken effect today, assuring workers and the public that stakeholder consultations are ongoing. Water will go up by 15.92%, while electricity will see an increment of 9.86%. In a joint statement, the two bodies acknowledged anxieties about the impact of utility prices on households and workers, but emphasized that all decisions remain within the established regulatory framework. The Ghana National Fire Service says the fire at a compound house near the mosque at Tudu, Accra, which broke out at about 1 p.m. today, has been fully extinguished with no injuries or fatalities. Officers from the Accra City Fire Station arrived at the scene a few minutes after the fire had intensified, facing rapid fire spread, limited water supply, and accessibility challenges. The duty officer called in 3 additional fire tenders, bringing the fire under control at about 2:30 p.m. The fire was fully contained after 3 p.m. Investigation is ongoing to determine the cause of the fire. UK-based Ghanaian boxer Seth Jima, widely known as Freezy McBones, has praised Legacy Rise for their efforts to uplift Ghana boxing. Freezy, who was part of Legacy Rise's showdown bouts on December 20, announced his next bout while speaking on the special edition of New Day.
Hopeful end of this month, I'm going to have my next fight in Europe, in Paris. I mean, I'm so glad and I'm happy how Ghana boxing is so coming up big, like the football. You know, before we all believe and we all support the football, active. But right now, the boxing is up there, which is really great, and that is what we all expect to see.
Oh, there's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7. Also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. It's the first edition of Ghana Tonight. And we'll start off this way, because a number of you have been talking about this, and that's what's coming up next. The police is reported to have arrested Evans Eshin, popularly known as Ebonoa, for allegedly causing public alarm and panic through false prophecies. Now, police sources indicate that Ebonoa was detained following a series of controversial events that began with a failed doomsday prediction on Christmas Day and ended with a bizarre appearance at a high-profile music concert, Rapperholic, urging his fans to continue celebrating because the said prediction was not going to come to pass. Well, Ebonoa first captured attention in August 2025, claiming he had received a divine mandate to build 10 modern-day arks to save humanity from a 3-year global flood. Now, he insisted the rains would commence on December 25th, that's Christmas Day, mirroring the biblical deluge. Now, for months, his TikTok and YouTube channels were flooded with videos of the 30-year-old in tattered sackcloth, as you're seeing on the screen, supervising what is said to be the construction of a wooden vessel. That's what you see there. Now, he claimed to have purchased over 250,000 pieces of timber for the said project, and asserting that these arks were the only refuge for the faithful few. However, when Christmas Day passed, with clear skies, the self-acclaimed prophet quickly pivoted. On 25th of December, he passed without the incident. Bonoa said to have issued a follow-up statement claiming he had interceded through prayer and God had postponed the impending disaster as a result of his prayer and intervention. This photo of the self-proclaimed prophet in police custody with handcuffs surfaced online and soon went viral on social media. And this is one that, in fact, let me just put on the record as well. We've checked with our police sources. They say that this is indeed has happened. The police is here to issue an official statement to that effect. But Richard Kumado is a security analyst who's been following this quite closely. Mr. Kumado is joining us on Zoom. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Ghana Tonight.
Thank you, Alfred.
Now, this, for you, you say that it didn't come to you as a surprise, especially because of how the police has been following such events on social media. But how, for you, would you expect this to play out in the coming days, especially taking into consideration the fact that this gentleman is said to have given an update of whatever he put out a few months ago?
Definitely, the internet doesn't forgive and the internet doesn't forget. And if you look at the attitude of what he said, it comes with psychological issues for people. It comes with belief issues for people, and it comes with emotional stress for people, and he has suicidal tendencies. So to the extent that he knew right from day one that it wasn't the case, and he went out there to do what he did, I wasn't surprised the police picked him up. The Ghana Police Service and the law enforcement agencies in particular are determined that the social media space that has become a place where almost everybody interacts, whatever you put there, that has ramifications on stability and personal security breaches and public safety challenges, particularly when they are dealing with a Public Order Act. You will be picked up and you will have a conversation with the police, and that is what he is. False pretense and living by fraud, that is what he has done, and I don't think it is necessary at all, considering how emotional and religious our people are, and the importance they will attach to such occurrences or such statements made by Bonoa. So that is where we are, Alfred.
I see, and there are reports of some persons even carrying their luggage to the said location at some point. Mr. Kumado.
Definitely, yes. And that is the worst aspect of it, because for those who read his first statement, they might not have the opportunity to believe whatever he's saying again. In the days of AI, where things can be manipulated, people took his word for whatever he said. And for people who may not know that this is false pretense and this is somebody who is pretending to be a prophet, in actual sense is not, you create some level of discomfort for people, and you create some level of emotional stress for people, and people might be traumatized, but saying the kind of things you said. And they might have sold their properties, they might have borrowed money from people, and they might have given up life. And to that extent, you are creating emotional stress with a psychological effect that the police will need to speak to him. So that is where we are.
Property, there's been a number of prophecies, right from last night, 31st, up until, the early hours of today. So many prophecies of sorts with different issues and different predictions and projections and prophecies for that matter. And we understand that the police is also keeping a keen eye on how all of this is unfolding. Our sources in there say that they are keeping tabs on some of these prophecies from last night to today. How do you expect things to play out?
So the police do not have right to say you have to prophesy this way, you have to prophesy that way. But once you are a man of God and people look up to you, it means that whatever you do must come with some level of responsibility. And you have to be accountable by the things you do and the things you say. Whatever you say that creates fear and panic, you might be creating problem for yourself and problem for the general public. Whatever you say that borders on emotions, and that may be an infringement to the Public Order Act, then you should be putting yourself available for the police to have a conversation with you. I have said that prophetic communication is key, pastoral due diligence is key, and whatever you say will have to be in line with somebody who is in a position of authority that people look up to you. I think this whole thing about 31st December prophecies and what we call prophetic numbering has created problems in the past, and we need to be watchful, we need to be mindful, and we need to see that this is the only country we have. Once you're telling people they are going to die, they should sell their properties and bring their money to God, and they shouldn't live in a particular way of, a particular kind and a particular way. If it turns out that what you are saying comes with a little bit of falsehood or high levels of falsehood, then the police, who are mandated of maintaining law and order, and who are the custodians of the Public Order Act, they might be coming to you and they might be having a conversation with you. And I wouldn't be surprised if some people are sent to court to face the rigors of the law.
Mr. Commodore, thank you for your time on this matter. And we see how the coming days will look like. Richard Commodore is a security analyst. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, we'll go straight into the matters of New Year message by the President, John Dramani Mahama, earlier today. And that will segue into other issues related to some of the matters he talked about in that New Year message on the economy, and then also on the security, as you've just heard us talk about. President Mahama earlier today, he says he's hopeful 2026 will be a prosperous year, one with peace and national progress as well. And that's what's coming up next here on Ghana Tonight. In the New Year message earlier today, the President, John Dramani Mahama, did talk about the state of the economy that he inherited and what has been done right from the year 2025, the beginning of the year 2025 to date. He says a solid foundation has been laid. Take a listen to him.
One year ago, we inherited a nation in distress, an economy on its knees, unemployment crushing our youth, infrastructure crumbling, public trust eroded, and hope dimming in the eyes of our people. We're told that the recovery would take a generation, but I knew something our critics did not know. I knew the resilient spirit of the Ghanaian people. At the dawn of the new year, I stand before you to say our beloved nation Ghana is rising again. We've accomplished a lot together in the past 12 months through prudent management and difficult but necessary reforms. We've reduced inflation from the distressing levels above 23% by the end of 2024 and are hopeful to end 2025 with inflation at single digits of just above 5%. We have achieved relative currency stability and on track to be ranked among the best performing currencies in the world for 2025. We're accelerating economic growth and creating more opportunities for our young people. We've restored business confidence and have seen a significant increase in both domestic and foreign direct investment. We restored Ghana's credibility with our international partners, successfully completed the renegotiation of our debt obligations on terms that protect our sovereignty while at the same time ensuring sustainability. We're beginning the process of exiting the IMF program with dignity, not as supplicants, but as partners. Our young people are Ghana's greatest assets. We're beginning to see significant growth in sectoral performance. Construction, manufacturing, agriculture, and services are showing very strong growth. This is creating a new opportunity for decent employment for our youth. Infrastructure is the backbone of development. We have begun the rehabilitation of over 2,000 kilometers of roads nationwide. We've restored a consistent supply of electricity and are expanding the rural electrification network to more than 1,000 additional communities.
Well, so that's the President, John Dramani Mahama, earlier today in that New Year message. And the picture of the economy that he paints, and rightly so. And then he talks about also the cedi appreciation against the major trading currencies. We've seen that. In fact, the last time we checked, it's trading at sort of 10 cedis, 51 pesos, thereabout, at the interbank. But then again, at the Forex Bureau, you'll get it a little below 12 cedis to the dollar. We've seen fuel prices go down in the first pricing window for the year 2026. The fundamental question on the minds of many is how these gains can be sustained going into the most part of the year 2026, taking into consideration a number of things that will be happening. We're going to have it to think about how to settle our external debts, and as well as also as the Bank of Ghana is going to reduce its footprints in the forex market as well, as to how much they would put in terms of intervention to show up the value of the city as well. It's one that will look at other policy alternatives to sustain these gains that we have seen. These are the questions that we're going to be asking as the days, weeks, and months go by. But this is it. What the president talks about, I'm going to put it on the screen right now. It's a picture that is captured statistically and also confirmed. We're ending the year, at least based on what the Ghana Sales Service put out, the month of November saw inflation at 6.3%. Now, by next week or two, we're going to hear exactly how we ended the month of December in terms of the inflation rate. But this is it, 6.3% for inflation, right from 23.5 when he took office as president of the Republic of Ghana in January. It's been on the decline consistently to 23.1 in February, 22.4 in March, 21.2 in April, 18.4% in May. And in fact, we've seen a direct link between the inflation rate and then also the appreciation of the cedi. Because if you look at the main part of this period of the May, June last year, when we saw this big decline in inflation rate, you could also relate within that same period what was happening to the cedi. And this is it. We're going to show it to you. It clearly paints the picture of that nexus, the connection between the inflation rate and also the strength of the cedi. Between May and June, we saw the cedi trading at 10 cedis, 28 pesos, 10 cedis, 30 pesos, thereabout. And right from that period as well, you see inflation also reducing sharply from 21.2, 18.4% down to 13.7%. So with the inflation targeting that the Bank of Ghana has been on for quite a while now, we'll see as well how that will continue going into the year 2026. Joe Jackson is a financial analyst joining me on Zoom right now. So Jackson, thank you for time. Now, from your lenses, how would you assess the year 2025? The president talks about a solid foundation that has been laid over the period for a bigger takeoff in 2026.
Oh, listen, I would say undoubtedly that 2025 has been a good year. A good year because the economy has stabilized. Good year because we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. A good year because, listen, all the numbers are looking right. It's not as if, when I say it's a good day, I don't say it's a good day because everybody is happy and jumping up and down. No, I say it's a good year because it's like somebody who had a stroke, went into intensive care, is now out of intensive care, can walk, can move around, and has even been discharged to go home, but still take good care of himself. That's where we are. The situation has stabilized. The situation is improving. So some things went right. Fiscal discipline meant that inflation came down. Fiscal discipline meant that the forex rate stabilized. Coupled with the work of the gold board and just the good winds that blew our way in raising the price of gold. So they're good things. All in all, this year has been a good year.
This year being a good year from that's the year 2025. I mean, been a good year for that matter. But we're seeing how the president also is optimistic about how things will play out in the year 2026 going forward. Taking a look at this picture, which we're going to put on the screen right now, and how the trend has been, especially for inflation over the period and going into the year 2026. From where you sit, there are some inherent risks, you would say, going into this year, is it not? The IMF flagged it, Fitch has talked about it. What should be the thinking going forward?
Oh, listen, as for the risk, there are a lot of risks. And that's why I describe as it's a sick patient whose health has improved. Sick patient who is now out of intensive care, even out of the ward, but he's still a sick patient. Listen, at the bottom line, Ghana is still broke. We're not out of the woods yet. With all the arrears we haven't been able to pay. Look at what's happening with our cocoa sector, still in trouble. Look at the debts with to the energy sector debts. Have they been managed better? Yes. There are still the debts there? Yes. Look at our Greek. It's still very much rain-fed instead of irrigation-led. So there are risks. 2026, we have some heavy bills to pay. Paying those affect the CD to dollar rate. Increments that should go to staff of the government and the public services. Will that start to affect inflation? Will we lose the discipline that we've shown so far? Oh, there are risks. But that doesn't also mean that we should not celebrate. We should celebrate what has happened last year and the good things, so that those that use up the discipline and energy and the commitment to keep us on track, at least they will know we appreciate them and they will be energized to continue, because they need to continue. Else, the gains can fall away. The biggest risk we are facing now is that even with all these good things, we barely made a dent into the unemployment issue. Too many of us have unemployed brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, children. Our children are unemployed. It's bad. It's horrible. That statistic that 32% of Ghanaians aged between 15 and 35 who are looking for jobs cannot get jobs. That statistic is damning. That statistic is a ticking time bomb. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. It's a ticking time bomb. We haven't made a dent on that. So I would say good year, right? But still a lot left to be done. And I remember my scorecard when I was a younger person who say, good effort, but needs to work harder.
Right.
I'll say for this economy, fantastic effort, but still a lot of risk awaiting us ahead of us in 2026.
Jackson, thank you for this. But kindly stay with me because you talked on unemployment. I'm going to show you and our viewers a picture of what the Ghana School Service put out in terms of the unemployment situation, which gives us a fair idea of what you just talked about. But this is the president talking about the solid foundation that has been laid after 2025. But you point to the risks involved going into 2026. But this is the president talking about the solid foundation. Take a look.
Let us build on the foundation we have laid, and let us work harder, let us dream bigger and achieve even greater things. Let us prove that the promise that inspired our founding fathers and mothers, and the promise that has sustained us through trials and challenges, is not just a promise, but a prophecy that is waiting to be fulfilled.
Well, so, Mr. Jackson, this is it. This is the unemployment statistics that you mentioned. This is what was put out by the Ghana School Service a few weeks back, the labor pressure report. 15.43 million. That's about over 50.4 million labor force, they say. As of then, this was an assessment between the first and the third quarter of the year 2025. 15.4 million and over. And they say that over 330,000 net jobs were created between that period, the first to the third quarter. We're going to put it on the screen right now. The first to the third quarter of 2025. Out of the said number, 72.2% actually in vulnerable employment. Vulnerable, meaning that they're actually not being paid well, others are underpaid, and then also welfare is not optimum or even at even point. 21.5 of the set number of the labor force, that's youth that are not in employment or education, training. 15 to 24 years, 21.5%. These are young people who are employable, but then again, they're having to deal with this. And we're talking about this also of over, as we're told, 13%, that is about 2 million people who are unemployed. And that's what you referenced, Mr. Jackson. And this is it. This 13.4 million in terms of the gender breakdown, and then also the specific distribution to rural and urban. We're talking about 7.4 million out of the 13.4 that are female in terms of those who are employed. And just about 6 million female. And bear in mind, a number of them, a chunk of them, are in vulnerable employment. So yes, you look at the headline figure of 13.4 million, it looks big, but if you drill down the data, the concern is the vulnerability of the kind of employment that these people are in. And in terms of the rural urban, that is distribution, we have over 7.4 million employed in the urban areas and just almost 6 million in the rural communities. Mr. Jackson, finally, if you had the ear of the finance minister and the governor of the central bank, what would you tell them going into this year?
Let's fix agric. When you can feed yourself, everything else starts to become a little bit more manageable. If there's any sector that requires transformation, it is agric. It is agric, and we must get irrigation going. We must fix the cocoa sector. We must buy the excess produce that is sitting on at our farm gates. Agric. If you can feed, listen, if my stomach is full, I can stomach a lot of things. If I'm hungry, say a hungry man is an angry man. And so it's important for us to fix agric, not to pay lip service. Agric should not be just about subsidizing fertilizer. Agric should be about subsidizing access to finance, so that the farmers can find. Agric is about fixing the farm gate to market road, so that the produce can leave the farm gate and get to the market without the exorbitant logistic costs and transport costs being placed on it. All those things are things that agric should be about access to mechanized equipment. The farmers, they don't need to own the tractors. They just want to have access to the tractors. Those are some of the things. And they're not rocket science. They've been around since, these things have been heard. They've been around. They've been said since I was in first year in economics in 1905. Nothing has changed. You have to start changing those things. If I had the ministers here, everything I'll say agric. If I had the ministers here, the second thing I'll talk to him about is galamsey. You see, it's not that the people who do galamsey choose to do illegal things. It's because when they do illegal things, they make a profit. So it's about illegal profit. It's about when we start to arrest the real kingpins, not the victims who are doing galamsey without gloves, not the victims who have growing clusters of birth defects, not the victims who are going to suffer from kidney problems and need dialysis. Where are the true kingpins who are profiting? So those are some of the things we should address. Still, regardless of our risks, this year has been a good year.
Mr. Jackson, appreciate you for this. I thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. On that point that you end with, Galamsey, that's actually going to be our next issue, but thank you for touching on it as well and making your views heard on it. But you say that if your stomach is full, you can stomach a lot of things. And in fact, this report that we're looking at captures some detail of what you just spoke about, and this is it. And we talk about which sectors, specific sectors that Ghanaians are employed in or employing a lot of Ghanaians. We're looking at the services sector, just a little over 6 million people employed in the services sector. The agriculture sector, Mr. Jackson, that you mentioned, also employs just a little over 5 million people in that same sector, agriculture sector. So it's important that you spend quite some time talking about why we should focus on agriculture, Mr. Jackson, as your view to addressing this unemployment in this country. Industry, just about 2.5 million, 18.3%. Agriculture remains the backbone of the economy. But then again, we see that the age bracket of persons involved in agriculture is a challenge. The last time we checked, between 40 to 70 years and over. We don't have a lot of young people involved in agriculture now. So one of the things we're going to be focusing on Ghana Tonight and across all TV3 programs is assessing some of these policies in the agri sector, the Nkokon Kitinkiti and others that this administration has just started, and how that would also impact and contribute to creating jobs, improving this number that we see in agri, as put out by the Ghana Statistical Service. So stay with us. Joe Jackson, thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. He is the Executive Director and CEO of Delex Finance. He's a financial analyst. Coming up here on Ghana Tonight, as I indicate, we're going to talk about Galamsey. But this is the president also in his New Year message talking about the Ghana for all, not the NDC or the NPP, but for all Ghanaians. Take a look.
We are one people with a shared destiny. Whether you voted for me or not, whether you supported the NDC or not, we are all Ghanaians. And this reset is for all of us. There's no NPP Ghana, there's no CPP Ghana or NDC Ghana. There's only one Ghana. That Ghana our forebears fought for and shed their blood to give us our freedom. Let us reject the politics of division and embrace the patriotism of nation building. Let us disagree without being disagreeable. Let us compete in the marketplace of ideas without treating our opponents as our enemies. The challenges that we face are too urgent, and the opportunities before us are too precious for us to waste our time and energy in needless conflict.
Of the full complement of the President's message on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and also on 3news.com. Coming up next year on Ghana Tonight, how would you assess the government's fight against illegal mining? Now, we're here from an environmentalist on this matter and also from you, Ghanaians, on this matter as well, here on Ghana Tonight. A number of you have been sharing your thoughts and your views already on this particular matter of illegal mining, and that is what is coming up next year on Ghana Tonight. So as we'll share your thoughts and views, comments and opinions on the matters that you've been talking about and also sharing your views on Ghana Tonight with us. But Awola Sewa is the coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens. Awola is joining us on Zoom right now. Awola, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight, and I appreciate your patience. Now, we've seen a number of interventions in the past year, 2025, after this administration took over. You heard the president talk about a number of things that have been put in place for a big takeoff in 2026. In the fight against Galamsey, we've seen NIMOS, we've seen the IGP task force, the concerned small-scale miners, they have their own task force. Forestry Commission have their own task force as well. But then again, putting all of this together, how much of an impact from where you sit has it made as well in the year 2025 in the fight against Galamsey?
Well, let's look at the facts. Let's look at what is happening on the ground. There have been efforts. Nobody is going to deny that there are efforts. We have to commend NAMOS. They are doing their best with the resources they have. But what I think needs to happen is that they need to be better resourced. They need to be better resourced. You see, we're on the verge of an ecological catastrophe. And that is why civil society organizations asked for a targeted state of emergency, so that we could deal adequately with the threat. It's as if we have about 1,000 fires raging, and we've just got one fire engine going from fire to fire. So you can imagine that the will might be there to put out the fire, but if you are not properly equipped, resourced to deal with the environmental terrorism going on, it's not going to work. So what we are saying is that efforts are being made, but we do need the political will to really end this when you look at NAMOS, they don't even have a dedicated phone line. There was illegal mining taking place in Atronsu. We tried to get hold of NAMOS. There was no number, but we eventually got hold of them, and they were unable to come. You should go and do a fact-finding mission and look at the state of the Atronsu stream. So with all the goodwill in the world, if you don't have the resources to be able to get to where you are needed, it makes the whole matter very challenging.
And say, in fact, you talk about NAMOS, the 2 days ago, we saw some updates on some activities as well to clamp down on illegal mining. On Monday as well, we got an update as well. And before Parliament rose or went for this recess for the Christmas break, as a matter of fact, the LI 2462 was taken off our books, which got a number of the CSOs in this space also commending that particular approach. But beyond that, what next?
You see, to do with the fight against Galamsey, we know that LI 2462 is to do with the protection of our forests, the protection of our forest reserves. We used to call it a perverse piece of legislation. Virtually opened up our forest reserves for unfettered, mining. Now, when it comes to illegal mining, they are not waiting for licenses. LI 2462, if you like, was like state-sponsored destruction of our forest reserves. The state itself was issuing licenses for big companies to mine in our forest reserves. Thank God it has been revoked. But it has no effect on illegal mining. It has an effect on protection of our forest reserves, and we're very grateful it has eventually been passed. At first, we're hoodwinked with an amendment, but we are pleased that it has eventually been revoked. But it has no bearing on illegal mining, because the illegal miners are not waiting for licenses. They are destroying our environment with impunity. So it has no effect whatsoever on illegal mining. As we speak, we have illegal miners still in our forest reserves. Just a few days ago, some were arrested. They are still on our water bodies. They are still on our farmlands. They go where they like with impunity because they are not waiting for any law. What they are waiting for is the political will to stop them. So what we need is the political will to say that it's a shame that we're going into 2026 with no real improvement in the matter. Our forest reserves are still under threat from illegal miners. Our water bodies are still being diverted. My information that over 60% have been diverted. Confanoche Teaching Hospital tells us that the number of kidney-related disease has gone up 4 times. There's a rise in abnormal or deformed babies, maternal deaths. There was a report a few days ago that a reclaimed illegal mining site on which cassava was grown, obviously has been found to have unacceptable levels of mercury. So when we look at what is happening, I'm not quite sure there's much to rejoice about. We need to go into 2026 with the understanding that a targeted state of emergency is needed. We need to have all our forces dealing with illegal mining. There's a war going on. There's a war going on. Even in wartime, when you poison the water bodies, it's a war crime. We need to have our Navy, our armed forces, our Air Force, using all the security forces, you have our police service, everybody go and tackle this problem before it engulfs us. Because if we wait too long, we'll all be destroyed. We're on the verge of an ecological catastrophe. And one fire engine cannot put out all the fires. It's as if we have hundreds of fires raging. Today, we send the fire engine to one fire. We arrest a few arsonists, and then tomorrow we go to another one. The rate at which we are going, come 2030, we'll still have the same problem. We need to declare a targeted state of emergency.
Well, beyond the targeted state of emergency you talk about, what else do you want to see in the year 2026? Alongside NAMOS, whom you have commended this particular formation and the work of NAMOS over the period, the EPA, and then also the Forestry Commission, what they're doing. But before that, we put up a question on our social media handles. That's on X and then also on Facebook. And this is it. We asked a simple question. How would you assess the fight against Galamsey in the year 2025? 40% of you who responded, over 2,000 of you who responded over the period said good. 46% of you say not good enough. And 14% of you say bad. Out of the over 2,000 respondents that we got to this question that we put up on our social media handles. So beyond the targeted state of emergency, what else do you want to see put in place alongside the already others in place, NIMOS, EPA, Forestry Commission that are already in place? What next do you expect?
I expect the Forestry Commission, they have asked for a paramilitary status so that they can protect, that is their mandate, to protect our forest reserves. I think we need to listen to them. They're on the ground. They are inadequately resourced. They cannot even do much. Some of them have put their lives on the line, but because they don't have the adequate resources to deal with environmental terrorists in our forests, it's very difficult. So listen to the Forestry Commission, give them the tools they've asked for so they can deal with our forest reserves. And then looking at NAMOS, have a dedicated number and also work with communities. To the community which was fighting illegal mining, the activists, they are facing criminal charges, whilst the illegal miners are walking free. That's a travesty. Any government that is serious about fighting illegal mining must work with communities. They must embrace communities that are fighting illegal mining. They cannot be charged with burning excavators, which of course they claim they didn't burn, whilst the illegal miners were polluting the only source of drinking water, destroying the landscape, are walking free. This is a travesty. As I speak, the Atronsu 5 are facing criminal charges. They've been to court so many times. The case most times is adjourned, and that's at great cost to them. How is this going to encourage other communities from trying to resist illegal mining? And I want to commend the community in Jema. There's no illegal mining there because the visionary chief and Father Joseph Blay have come together, mobilized the community. They have patrols and so on and so forth. And there's no illegal mining. Once or twice, when people try and make an attempt, they are promptly rounded up. So this is a pilot that the government should look at and try and replicate in other parts of Ghana. But the bottom line is resource communities, work with them. Do not charge criminally charged communities that are fighting to put an end to environmental terrorism. If indeed we want to put an end to it, we need the support of communities.
Well, I appreciate you for this. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Ola Sewa is the coordinator and co-founder of Eco-Conscious Citizens, one of the foremost CSOs in the environmental space in this country. Now, we saw you, our viewers, also share your views on that question that we put out earlier today about the fight against Galamsey. There was also a question about the state of the economy in the year 2025 and what the president said earlier. This is it. We put up a question. How would you assess the economy in the year 2025? And we wanted to hear from you, your perspective as the viewer and as a Ghanaian, your personal economy. How did the generality of the economic improvement that the president talks about impact on your individual pocket? 87% of you say good. 9% of you say indifferent, 3% of you say bad. And we had thousands of you also taking part in this poll. Thank you. We do appreciate your participation, contribution to these polls and questions as we put out there. And expect more of this in 2026 as a way of interfacing and engaging with you, our viewers, so you have a say in what we say here on Ghana Tonight and across all the TV3 programs. Stay with us. We're back shortly after this quick break. This is Ghana Tonight. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. Now, the Trade Union Congress, TUC, and the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PRC, have urged calm amid public concern over the recent electricity tariff adjustment, which have taken effect today, as a matter of fact. They are assuring workers and the public that stakeholder consultations are ongoing. Water, as of today, per the communication, water is expected to have gone up by 15.92%. That's in terms of tariffs. While electricity also has seen an increment of 9.86%. In a joint statement, the two bodies, that's the TUC and the PRC, they've acknowledged the anxieties about the impact of utility prices on households and workers, but they emphasize that all decisions remain within the established regulatory framework. And I'm going to put portions of that statement on the screen right now, and I'll tell you what the IMF Fifth Review report also says about these tariffs we're just seeing. And this is it. They say the TUC will also, they're going to engage government, and they maintain that the PRC maintain that reversing the tariff decision will threaten its independence and undermine the stability of the energy and water sectors with wider economic consequences. While standing by the decision, the PRC acknowledged the TUC's concerns and pledged to consider them in the next tariff review. So this is it. If there's going to be any review whatsoever, it's going to be in the next tariff review. That's according to the statement. And so we have to still, unfortunately, brace ourselves for this and how this would impact us as consumers going forward. Also, the TUC will monitor how the tariff adjustments affect workers' wages and living conditions and use the findings to guide its next steps. The TUC will also engage government on wage levels and their adequacy in addressing the rising cost of living for Ghanaian workers. So these are portions of this statement as has been put out by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission and also the Trade Union Congress. That is what has been put out now. And then also how things are playing out, especially beginning today, what we would have to deal with as consumers. If you look at the IMF's Fifth Review report, this is what they capture about this tariff increase we are seeing. They say that Cabinet approved the strategy to restructure ECG, including opening operations to private sector participation, and then also in terms of the PRC, implement the planned major tariff review, and PRC will publish the technical note to explain and justify this tariff decision, and will share with IMF and World Bank staff the calculations. And the objective is to strengthen the energy sector and also ensure its medium-term viability. And we understand per the IMF report, this has not been met. The implementation got some delays. Well, they talk about another objective as well of the PRC implementing the quarterly tariff adjustment as per the current policy to reflect transmission of changes in the exchange rate, inflation, fuel prices, and generation mix to electricity tariffs. So this is it. And that is what we're seeing playing out right now. And so if you hear them talk about the impact and then also the concerns not having any significant impact right now, at least for this first quarter, it is consistent with what the IMF has captured in this report. It's one that in the coming days we'll see how the engagement between the PRC and TUC ends. But on behalf of the rest of the team, we do appreciate your company. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back again tomorrow for another conversation. It's a happy New Year from us here on Ghana Tonight to you, our viewers. I'm Alfred Akonse. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by